Welcome to another Sims 4 video. Today we're going to be building a Family Craftsman home that has 3 bedrooms, 4 bathrooms, a basement, and a screened-in porch. So inspired by the 2 new kits that came out, a couple weeks ago now, something like that, the basement kit and the greenhouse kit, I was like, we should build a new house for those. And also, this is a house that I'm building within my Let's Play game save, because the Michelson's family that come in San Sequoia by default, I kicked them out of their house because I needed that lot for my family. So I figured, why don't we build them a new house that's kind of next door on a much smaller lot? Like, yeah, they get a downgrade, but they still get a house. You know, I think that's a pretty good deal. So this ends up being a 3-bedroom house. We've got 3 bedrooms upstairs. And then there's definitely room for another bedroom. You could do it down in the basement. So I made the basement kind of like, it's almost like one of the half-finished basements. You know, we got a nice, well, maybe not nice, a sort of almost kind of retro basement room, and then like an unfinished junk room down there too, which is a lot of fun. But before we get to that, obviously we're building the outside of the house up first. It's pretty simple. I wanted it to take up, you know, as much of the lot as possible because it is a smaller lot, and the family I think is what, 2 parents and 2 kids, so it's 4 Sims. It's not actually that big, but I wanted the house to be spacious because I think now in my gameplay, I think both kids are teenagers, so they, you know, need a bit more space. However, you will notice later on when it comes to furnishing the bedrooms, I did not realize one of the kids was a teenager at this point, so I kind of furnished it like a kid's room, so my bad, but anyway. So this here is the part of the new greenhouse kit. These windows, they have a swatch that's actually just like a screen, like a fly screen. Now, originally I thought these were fly screens on top of glass, which I think would have maybe made more sense with the open window sections. I can't remember if I changed the like open screen sections to a closed one, because what's the point of having a screened in undercover area if you then just open the screen? Like, especially because it's just, basically what it is just a mesh, and then, you know, it's open to the elements. Like there's no glass or anything. It's basically outdoors, but it's just covered in and it stops bugs getting in. Anyway, that's what we did out the back. I don't know why they have an open window version of the screens, but they do. So it is what it is. It does end up looking very nice. I'm pretty pleased with it. And of course, I'm trying to use some of the new stuff from the kits. I've got that new brick flooring there. And of course, I'm using a bunch of stuff from Growing Together, the new windows and doors, because this is a craftsman home after all. So we're trying to go with that aesthetic and that vibe overall. But then obviously changing some things as we get into it a little bit. So upstairs, I'm pretty pleased with because it's pretty basic. Downstairs has a few weird shapes, and the layout downstairs was kind of hard to get perfectly right. But upstairs was pretty easy because it's just a big rectangle. So I was actually quite happy about that. And I think even though the upstairs is just a big rectangle, I think it suits the house really nicely, and it doesn't seem like it's out of place or it doesn't seem like it's boring or bland or anything like that. So I think the actual house itself, the shape and all that, very pleased with. So that's pretty good. I also did use inspiration for the color scheme from their original house, which I think was like blue. And I think it actually had white wood trims on like the columns and stuff. Obviously I'm using that sort of light wood tone. That sort of more oak color, which I like. So that is a little bit different. Now downstairs, I did do some like window wells for the basement. So the basement does have windows. I did actually also use the sort of escape window. The window that you can climb through from high school years. I actually used that down here so that you can actually climb out onto these little sort of window wells, and then there's ladders so you can climb up. So there is potential that if you turn this into a bedroom, it could be a teen's room that you could sneak out of from the basement, which I think is a little bit of fun. So that's a good idea. So yeah, the idea with the basement here, which is what we're starting with, is that we have one room that's sort of half finished, which is this room. It's, you know, it's kind of old. You've got the old dark wood, old walls that are a little bit dirty and scuffed down the bottom. Then the bathroom is really nice. It's like they've just done it up. They've just renovated the bathroom, so it's nice and new. And then the other room just to the left of it there, that's the one that's not done at all. It's got concrete floor, just plasterboard walls, a hanging light bulb, and then we put a bunch of junk in there. It's just a junk room. So it's like the unfinished basement room, which I think definitely suits the new basement kit. So that worked out pretty well in the end. I'm pretty happy with that. So the bathroom down here has got a bathtub shower combo, huge sink space. So it is a fully functional bathroom. So then again, if you did turn this into a bedroom, it would actually work pretty well, especially because there is no door at the bottom of the stairs, but the door to the basement is actually at the top of the stairs. So you could use this whole space as a bedroom, like ensuite combination. So I do think it would work well as a bedroom little space. Now, obviously, using some of the new stuff again, I love that new couch and the Sims 1 potted plant. which is like rubber leaves. It's like a fake plant. I think it's just so good because it's just brings back that Sims 1 nostalgia. We've got the old TV as well. I feel like they probably would have a newer TV in this basement, given that it's almost turned into a bit of a games room. We put like foosball down here, the game table. So it's kind of like almost like a teen hangout as it is. So having said that, they probably would have a newer TV, but I kind of felt like the old school TV, it came with the kit. Let's just use it. Let's have a bit of fun with it. So that's that. And then, yeah, just doing some lighting down here. It's pretty, it's pretty straightforward. Some of the new stuff. I did get rid of that armchair because I couldn't really fit it in as well. I wanted the foosball table as well. I don't know if it's all fully usable. Like I didn't fully play test this space, but either way, I think it looks pretty damn cool down here, which I'm pretty happy with. There's a couple things on the wall because that big wall felt really blank. And we just got I was kind of furnishing this this obviously room is a little bit more complete than the other room, but I still wanted to feel like a basement where they've just shoved stuff down there. So we've got that old bookcase, that big cabinet there as well, where they would have just put a bunch of stuff, let's just put it down in the basement. It'll be fine. And then in here, of course, just going full on with the basement kit. All the stuff that comes in it is great. It's just all junky stuff that's kind of broken. I believe that bookcase is usable. The lights kind of flicker. It's a lot of fun. We'll get a closer look at all that at the end of the time lapse in this build video. But moving upstairs, I did actually end up cutting out in a moment pretty much all of the floor plan. Because not the floor plan, but me trying to figure out the floor plan. Because I actually wasn't sure how I was going to do it. Because at first glance, it seems like the downstairs there's plenty of space, but given where the stairs are, the entrance to the house is, figuring out a layout that kind of made sense was a little, I don't know, I found it a bit difficult. But in the end, we got there. I don't know if it's the best layout, but I think it works for what it is. We also have this garage on the side of the house, which I just like the look of. It obviously serves no purpose, but it's extra space that you could turn into other stuff. I think it's basically just an empty room. I just put some of the debug cars in there. You can actually see them just a second ago, but yeah, there's nothing really in there. It's just for decorative purposes. But of course, you could add stuff in there. So this is the layout we got. It's basically open archways all downstairs through to this living space, which is a weird shape, but I think it actually worked pretty well to have a sitting TV area. Then off to the side, just behind that is where we're going to have I guess the arts and crafts area. And by that, I mean musical instrument, bookcase, chess table. So, skill building kind of stuff just over this side. Over in this side, I always pick it up mirrored over in this side, and then the living area this side of that space. And I think that actually worked quite well. Then directly behind it, which we'll obviously see in a little bit, we've got the dining area and then the kitchen. And then I think off to the other side, we actually have another office space, which I was actually going to originally do it as another bathroom. But given this is only a 3-bedroom house, if I did another bathroom, we'd end up with 5 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms. 5 bathrooms, 3 bedrooms, which is probably, that balance doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. So that's why I instead made a dedicated office space with a couple of desks and computers, which I think worked quite well. So this little room here is what I'm talking about. This one here. Just there, because yeah, at first it was going to be a bathroom, but we already have too many. So as simple as that. Because yeah, again, it's only 3 bedrooms. There's only 4 Sims living here in my game. So I think that made sense to do that in the end. So I just got a little reading corner there. I actually did some little baby care stuff, even though they don't have a baby. I don't know, it seemed like a nice little baby space. Little baby space. Yeah, so I actually only did 4 chairs at the dining table again, because only 4 Sims live here. I was going to do a bigger table, but I was like, there's not really much point going overboard, having a giant dining table and all this stuff there. So kept it pretty simple. And then just did some little decorations up on the wall. I did have some of the, so some of that paneling, you can see I got the extra detailing on the wall, and then the other walls are just blank. I mean, there's a lot of stuff all around the walls. There's big arches with the stained glass windows in it, and that takes up a lot of wall space. So even though the walls are just blank white, you don't actually see a lot of the wall in this place. So I think it actually works quite well, because I was originally, I think, going to try to do some more colorful walls down here, but I kept the downstairs pretty simple. I think the kitchen we had a little bit more color in, maybe, as we'll see. So this is also a bit of a weird shape, and it's kind of strange, because in this back corner of the house, it's just got these open archways to the rest. I actually kind of like it. It is, I mean, I don't know if the layout's the best, but I think it presented an interesting challenge in furnishing this space and the rest of the house downstairs. And overall, I'm pretty happy with it. I mean, I'd be happy for my Sims to live here, though it's not big enough for my Sims. I think the main problem I have with this lot is the fact that there is not really a backyard. you can't really fit big stuff outside. Like we can't fit the treehouse thing or anything like that. So that's one thing that's a bit of a shame about it, but not much we can do about that considering the lot is pretty small. So instead we maximize the size of the house and we don't have much backyard, unfortunately, but that's just the way it is. Yeah, looks like we've kind of finished up the kitchen there. Kitchen's pretty basic. It's just white. Yeah, and I did the sort of light pale blue wall with the new tiles just below it. So a little bit of color, not much. And then this is that home office I was talking about. So we get a couple desks in here. My idea was, one of the parents could have the bigger desk and then the smaller desk could be one of the kids. Having said that, I also do desks in the kids' room upstairs. So maybe both the parents have their own computer, but one of them is just on a smaller desk. I don't know. But I figured it was a good use of the space. You could also change that room into whatever. It could even be like a little nursery, though having said that, as a nursery, it might be a little bit far away from the parents' bedroom, but whatever. Yeah, so we got nice dark wood stuff in here. I just kind of felt like contrasting the light wood flooring and the light wood columns and all that, using the darker wood for all this stuff. And it kind of felt a little bit older, which I kind of wanted it to feel a bit older, like the furniture is just older, maybe they've had it for a while and they've just kind of shoved it into that office space where it's closed away and you don't really see it in the living room. Now the entrance here, it's actually pretty big. So as you can see, I spent quite a while trying to choose something to even just put here. Because we got this huge wide space. We got this 3 tile gap on the side there. You can see the door entrance to the basement just there and the stairs going up next to that. And then obviously the garage behind. So it kind of left us with this awkward the hallway, which is huge. So I was like, we kind of need to just put stuff there. So that's why we got the big side thing there. And I did end up changing it to this one with the I guess a coat rack kind of built in and shoe rack. It just, I don't know, it felt like there definitely should be something by the door where you'd come in or you'd grab your stuff on the way out, just because we had so much space. And then this little hallway, it only just goes backwards towards where the bathroom is and the door to that side that goes to the garage. So that hallway doesn't really do much except for the bathroom and the garage, although the garage, like I said earlier, garage is kind of pointless. It doesn't really do anything. It just exists, but it's extra space. So that's kind of good. Now this bathroom as well, as you can see, has the shower tub combo, toilet and sink. So also fully, functional bathroom. And then we have another 2 bathrooms upstairs. So we got plenty of bathrooms in this house. No need to worry about running out of space, which is good. And then I think, what are we doing now? Doing the undercover or the outdoor space. I was going to put the barbecue in the undercover area, but I thought that's probably, even though it's technically like a screened balcony space, I don't know that I'd want to barbecue under the roof, because unless the roof was also vented or you had a vent for the barbecue, it didn't make a lot of sense. So I'd still put the barbecue outside. Then under here, we have a nice undercover table. And I also did some gardening stuff, which maybe is not, I was kind of like, it's not the neatest to have like a flower arranging table or like a gardening station right next to the outdoor dining space. But I also didn't want to build another greenhouse space because, again, there's a lot, it's so small. So I was like, let's just put it in here. It's all combined. The other table is just inside the door there. So we got those sort of open bifold doors. That's kind of outside anyway. So I was like, that works. I'm happy with that. Moving upstairs, we've got the main bedroom here, which is pretty simple in terms of furnishing, but we do have a nice big bathroom attached to it just there. So we've got plenty of windows as well. I don't remember if I ended up doing any curtains. I feel like I spent ages looking for curtains in this house, like upstairs and downstairs. I don't remember if I actually found any that made sense. So I kind of left it. I feel like curtains, to me in Sims builds, they're nice to have, but realistically they don't do anything. And half the time you don't actually see them because the walls are down or you're just looking at it in a different way. So I'm just like, if there's no curtains that actually look good, I'm just not going to do them because it's just easier not to. Because, look, Sims aren't embarrassed about people looking through windows. They're not shy. They're only shy if you walk in on them in the bathroom. So that's the only time. Other than that, they're pretty chill. So that works out pretty good in the end. So just a little bathroom. This one has a separate tub, luxury for the parents there. Then we've got 2 bedrooms. Both kind of weird shapes. I mean, this one's mostly just a rectangle, but the weird little 1x1 cutout there is strange. So I put another desk in here. This is where I mentioned earlier, we ended up with another desk. And then the other room is also very weird because it's like, you'll see in a second, we don't have a great view at the moment, but the bathroom kind of cuts into it in a strange way. Now, I did say earlier that the upstairs was a basic rectangle and it was pretty easy to do. It is weird, okay? It is weird, but you know, I kind of think that's the charm of like old craftsman homes, is that they are kind of a little pokey. The rooms can be a little odd sometimes. Maybe not so much like upstairs. I don't know that this layout's particularly craftsman-like, but particularly downstairs where we had all the different rooms and different archways and columns and stuff. I think that, to me, goes really well with this style of house. So I had a bit of fun with that. So here's the bathroom. I put the little sink on a diagonal. I don't really know why I made the decision to shape the bathroom like this. Like, I have no idea. I don't know why. Like, looking back at it now, I'm not sure. I could have made the bathroom in a different spot or just different shape. But we have that sort of 3x3 with the diagonal cutout. It's a little bit of fun. I was going to use that loft bed as you saw, but one of my things when building in Sims is I always think about when I'm actually playing the game. And one thing I personally find really annoying is when you have really tall items in the middle of a house that causes you as a player to have to like rotate the camera just to see behind it or see around it. And if you have a bunch of tall things all in the middle, it kind of gets in the way. So when I'm building or planning stuff, I will typically put the camera in the angle that I imagine that I would play from. So like, I want to be able to see pretty much all the stuff from one angle without having to spin around the camera constantly. So I tend to try and use stuff that doesn't obstruct the view as much, and the loft bed definitely was. When I end up using that stuff, it's usually on an outer wall, which I think makes sense because then it just doesn't get in the way. Having said that, we do have a pretty tall desk there, which is maybe a little taller than I would have liked in the middle of the room, but it didn't really make sense putting it on the other side. I think it's still okay. It's not fully blocking the view or anything, but that's something I always keep in mind when I'm doing furnishing or like doing these kind of houses, is just, if I'm playing this, is this going to be annoying? And that same rule goes for like clutter and stuff. I love putting clutter in, but at a certain point, I'm like, if I'm playing in this house, I think all this stuff around the place is just going to get annoying, especially if I'm trying to add stuff later on. So we did some clutter like in the living room and all that, and definitely in the basement, obviously, in that junk room. But for the most part, trying to keep it pretty, user-friendly, I don't know if that makes sense, but you know what I mean. So just doing a little bit of landscaping coming up near the end of the build, but we're just going to do a little bit of the outside space. And I already knew we didn't have a lot of exterior space, especially when it comes to, like, I was like, I really want to do something in this backyard. So I did like a fire pit. I thought that was quite nice. And I faced it like outward because behind the house is just a bunch of trees and like grassland, like not grassland, but like just like a little, almost like a park. It's not a park, but it's just like trees and an open green space. So I thought it'd be nice if you had like a nice fire there and you're just sitting looking out over the trees and the bush and all that. And then in the driveway, because obviously we don't have cars, I did a basketball hoop, which I don't know why I'm super into basketball hoops at the moment. But there you go. Anyway, let's jump into the game and have a look at it up close. All right, so here we are. Obviously, we already had kind of a good look at the exterior of the house, so nothing too new to see here. But yeah, it's pretty simple on the outside, inspired by the last one. I do really like this undercover area at the back. I did also realize in the time lapse that when these walls are down and you can't see the windows, I haven't actually painted these walls. So I'm just gonna paint it the same thing I painted the outside, and that one there as well. There we go. Okay. Not that it matters because you can't see it anyway. You can only see it when it's like that. It just looked a little messy. Yeah, so I really like the undercover screen balcony. Oh, I did change those windows that were open. These aren't windows, you can tell, because when you change it to the other swatch, you can see how shiny the glass is. So there's no glass here. Obviously, within the game rules and how the game works, this space is still considered inside. Like, it's not outside. You'll still get lighting like it's inside. So it's not technically outside by the game definition. But these look like, you're outside, which I really like. And you might have seen in the time lapse, I did actually add a fan up the top. It's all the way up the top. I sort of moved it up with Move Objects. It's hanging off the roof. There's also a light that I added there, which I guess should probably be lower, but anyway, it lights up the area quite nicely. And also, I just felt like having a fan up there for airflow was a nice thing. So that's that. Then out here, we've got the little fire pit, like I said. And look at this view. Look at that. You get to sit out here. You can watch the big wallets. That's where the big wallets live. You can watch, hey, their house isn't painted up there. That should be painted. I'll have to fix that in the Let's Play. But yeah, nice little view out there while you're burning a bunch of wood. Yeah, the little driveway on the side here. I did actually change this garage door to a door so you can actually walk through it. Because these aren't doors. This is actually the DIY mural where your Sims can actually paint on this. So that's kind of fun. They were both originally that, but the downside is then you can't access the house through the garage. So I changed it. And just before we jump inside, These are the little window wells here, so you can climb up and down here, and there's windows down there for light to go into the basement. Same on this side, just here, and then there's a ladder, and you can actually get down there, which is... So yeah, that's the outside. Let's jump inside now. So I guess first up, in this position here, you can kind of see how open, yet also kind of closed and cozy the downstairs is. Like, it's basically one big room because it's all open, but with the walls and the archways, it kind of makes it feel a little bit cozier. Like, I really, really like the sitting area just here, especially how you can see the front entrance and the stairs and the dining space there. You can see through the dining room. You can see out to that undercover screen balcony. Back over that way is the kitchen. And then, yeah, through here is our little hallway and entrance that goes upstairs. That door goes to the basement. So that's our big front door just there. Get a nice view out to the bridge over the road. Look at that. Beautiful. So yeah, back inside. We look the other way now. We can see that little sort of crafty corner over there. I don't know why I'm calling it crafty corner. It's got like a chess table and a piano. It's not crafty. I guess creative corner, logic corner. Just there, a little reading area. Through in here is our home office. You know, a lot of stuff going on in here. Not 2 computers. And then through this way is the kitchen. Like, the kitchen's pretty simple. Well, we have the stove and the island, the oven off to the side, dishwasher and microwave, all the stuff. Bin hiding around the back there as well. And standing here in the kitchen, I think you get a pretty nice view. Like, if you were entertaining and cooking, like, I think this is actually a really nice spot. You can see the dining area, you can see the living room. Very good growing together house, because as a parent, you can keep an eye on all the kids everywhere. So I think that's pretty good. Not that it matters in Sims, but I think it's a good idea. All right, let's jump out of that mode, because I just think being in that first-person camera, you can really appreciate the downstairs a little bit more than just flying over like this. And then the bathroom just there, like I said, garage, a couple of decorative cars. Down in the basement, I think the same sort of thing. Being in this camera, you get a good idea. It's like kind of dark, kind of old furniture, but, you know, a lot of fun stuff down here. You got the TV, the games table, foosball, books to read just there, and then those windows that you can, of course, escape out of. Now, the junk room, this is like the unfinished section of the basement, which has got a lot of scuffs and scratches and potential mold and exposed bricks and cobwebs and all the old broken stuff from the new kit. A lot of fun. I don't know, this was fun just to put all the stuff in there. Also this, I don't know if you guys know, this disassembled heart bed is $3,100. It is so expensive. However, it does give you romantic decor 8. That is huge. If you put this in a room, your Sims are gonna be super floaty. Just saying. And then the nice finished bathroom just in here with a bunch of just like towels and stuff down there. Pretty functional bathroom. All right, moving upstairs. We can get a better look at the layout here as well. So you can see, got the stairs coming up here, hallway along there. To be honest, I probably could have done the bathroom like here and then had a bigger bedroom behind it. But I like the stairs feeling a bit more open, because if I put a wall here, the stairs feel really cramped in. I already wasn't super happy only having one tile of landing space at the top of the stairs. I kind of wanted a bit more, but it didn't really work. So anyway, got the bathroom in there. First bedroom just here. It's got a little sort of dresser around the corner, a mirror on the diagonal. I mean, I think it's a nice use of this space. So there's a little stool there where you could like sit and get ready. Nice desk in the room as well. Another little bedroom in here. Got the little desk and computer there. And then the main bedroom down the end. A couple of TVs in these rooms too. This is pretty simple too. Just nice bed and then the ensuite bathroom. And then that's that. Hey, that's got curtains in it. I don't think anywhere else does except for the downstairs bathroom there, because it's like right by the right by the barbecue. So I thought maybe curtains there would be nice. But yeah, that is the build. That is the Family Craftsman. So in my game, that's where the Michelsons are going to be living from now on. So they actually have a house, because my Sims are kind of friends with their kids. So I wanted somewhere that we could like visit them rather than us always having to invite them over because they didn't have a house. But special thank you to these members for helping support the channel. I really appreciate it. And if you want to download this lot, make sure to click the link in the description down below, or you can go to my gallery page, James Turner YT. You'll be able to find it there. It's also called Family Craftsman, though that might return a lot of results if you search that. Thanks so much for watching. Make sure to leave your comments, suggestions, and feedback down below. I'll see you next time, and have an awesome day.